The night the bubbles rose, the hospital hallway felt heavier than grief, heavier than the smell of disinfectant and tired prayers clinging to the walls. A small girl sat on the floor with her knees pulled tight to her chest, her breathing breaking into panicked waves that rattled her thin shoulders. Around her, adults hurried past, eyes down, lives full, hearts guarded. No one noticed the janitor pushing a cart with squeaking wheels, his uniform faded from too many washes, his face worn by years of being invisible. What they did not know was that this ordinary man was about to do something so gentle, so human, that it would change every life in that hallway, including his own, while a woman with unimaginable wealth watched from the shadows without revealing who she truly was. Before the story goes any further, if you believe that kindness still matters, that second chances can appear in the smallest moments, and that ordinary people can create extraordinary change, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel to support stories that remind us what being human truly means. Michael Carter had been a single father for 5 years, ever since his wife, Rebecca, lost her fight with illness and left him alone with a toddler and a mountain of bills. He worked nights as a janitor at a large hospital in Ohio, a place that never slept and never slowed its suffering. Every shift reminded him how fragile life was and how quickly it could take what you loved most. His daughter, Hannah, stayed with a neighbor during his night shifts, and every break he took was spent staring at her photo on his old phone, promising himself that no matter how hard life became, she would never feel abandoned. Michael knew fear intimately, knew the sound of a child's panic, because he had held Hannah through nights when grief made her scream and shake. That was why, when he saw the little girl on the floor, something inside him stopped his cart before his mind could catch up. The girl's name was Grace, though Michael did not know it yet. She was 6 years old, her small hands trembling, her face blotchy from tears that refused to stop. Her mother had rushed into an emergency meeting with doctors after a sudden collapse, leaving Grace with strangers and too much fear for such a young heart. The bright lights and echoing footsteps overwhelmed her, and her breathing spiraled faster as her world shrank into terror. Michael knelt slowly a few feet away, careful not to startle her. He remembered Hannah's first panic attack after Rebecca's funeral, how words had failed him completely. In those moments, logic meant nothing, only comfort mattered. From his cart, Michael pulled out a small bottle of bubbles, something he carried every night like a quiet secret. It had once belonged to Hannah, tucked into his pocket on a day he forgot to remove it. He had discovered that blowing bubbles during his breaks helped him breathe when the weight of life pressed too hard on his chest. Without a word, without expectation, he dipped the wand and gently blew. Translucent spheres floated into the air, catching the harsh fluorescent light and turning it soft, almost magical. The bubbles drifted toward Grace, wobbling, bursting, reappearing. Her breathing faltered, then slowed, curiosity breaking through fear. Her eyes followed the fragile orbs as they rose and popped, grounding her in something simple and safe. Unseen by both of them, a woman stood near the end of the hallway, her designer coat draped perfectly, her posture composed, but her heart unraveling. Her name was Sarah Whitmore, a billionaire entrepreneur whose name filled magazines and boardrooms across the United States. To the world, she was powerful and untouchable. In that moment, she was only a mother watching her daughter struggle from a distance she had never felt so sharply. She had stepped away to take a call that could shift millions, believing Grace would be fine for a few minutes. Now she watched a janitor do what all her wealth could not buy, offering presence, patience, and a kind of love that asked for nothing in return. Michael continued blowing bubbles until Grace's shoulders relaxed and her breathing evened out. She reached out, popping one with a tentative finger, then another, her lips twitching toward a shy smile. He sat there with her, the floor cold beneath him, his cart forgotten. He thought of Rebecca, of how she used to say that kindness was never wasted, even when it went unnoticed. Around them the hospital hummed, but in that small space, time slowed, allowing healing to slip quietly into a frightened child's heart. When Sarah finally approached, she did not announce herself or her status. She simply thanked Michael with eyes full of tears she did not bother to hide. She led Grace away once the doctors were ready, and Michael returned to his cart, assuming the moment would fade like the bubbles he had blown. He did not know that Sarah watched him walk away, noticing the careful way he returned the bottle to his pocket, noticing the exhaustion etched into his face, and the dignity in his silence. Days later, Michael was called into the hospital administration office, his stomach twisting with fear that he had done something wrong. He expected reprimand. Instead, he found Sarah waiting, this time introduced properly. She spoke not with authority, but gratitude. She had learned everything about him, about Hannah, about Rebecca, and about the quiet way he showed up every night to clean floors stained with sorrow. Sarah offered him a scholarship fund for Hannah, a better job within the hospital system, and resources that would lift the weight he had carried alone for so long. She made it clear that none of it was charity, but repayment for a kindness that steadied her child when she could not. Michael left that office overwhelmed, tears blurring his vision, understanding that the smallest acts could ripple into miracles. His life did not change overnight into perfection, but it changed enough to restore hope. Hannah laughed more. Michael slept easier. And somewhere deep inside Sarah, a reminder settled that no fortune could replace the power of simple compassion. If this story has touched your heart, if it reminded you that humanity still shines brightest in unexpected places, please take a moment now to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to the channel so more stories like this can reach the people who need them most. Before we end, please comment below and tell us what this story made you feel, or share a moment when a stranger's kindness changed your life. In a quiet hospital hallway in the United States, bubbles once rose not to entertain, but to heal, proving that sometimes the people we overlook carry the greatest light, and that kindness, when given freely, always finds its way back home.